Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to The Audio Analyst. Last week, in the second episode of my coverage of the 2023 Pacific Audio Fest, we visited the Northwest Ballroom 1, sponsored by Next Level Hi-Fi, the greater Chicago area retailer that is an Audio Group Denmark dealer, and got a taste of the world premiere of the new Borison M6 flagship loudspeaker. Today, I want to share with you my visit to the Evergreen 4 room on the second floor, sponsored by EOS Audio of Athens, Greece. Other partners in the room included JMF Audio of France and GamuT of Denmark. Beyond getting to catch up with my good friend and colleague, Michael Farnsworth, the principal of Audio Sky's distribution in Los Angeles, there would also be the promise of several North American premieres and even a few world premieres from both JMF Audio and Ideon Audio. And I also had the pleasure of meeting Michael Farnsworth, owner of Farnsworth Audio of Draper, Utah, who was manning the room with Michael Farnsworth. Thanks for the whiskey, gents. 5 products made their debut in this room, including the 7001 mono amplifiers, the PRS 1.5 dual mono preamplifier, and the PHS 7.2 dual mono phono stage from JMF Audio. We also got to meet the Ideon Audio's new flagship Absolute Signature 5 reclocker, as well as the EOS DAC. Now, beyond the excitement of witnessing 5 product premieres in this one room, the system itself and the sonic synergy it evoked were simply superb. Digital was provided by the exceptional Ideon Absolute Suite, including the $20,000 Absolute Stream server, which I have already reviewed here on June 11th with episode 126. Next, we saw the world premiere of the $22,000 Absolute Signature 5 reclocker. This Ideon suite was rounded out by the $47,000 Absolute Epsilon DAC. Now, this particular suite of products, except for my use of the previously released $9,900 Absolute Time reclocker in place of the new Signature 5, has been my new reference digital front end for some months now. And while I didn't get to hear it, they also featured the North American premiere of Ideon's $9,500 EOS DAC. Now, the electronics in play here included the North American premiere of JMF Audio's new $36,000 PRS 1.5 dual mono preamplifier and the world premiere of the $77,000 a pair JMF Audio HQS 7001 mono power amplifiers. I'm looking forward to getting a closer listen to both this new line stage and these mono amplifiers sometime soon. And while the new $25,000 JMF, hi baby, good morning. And while the new $25,000 JMF Audio PHS 7.2 dual mono phono stage was on display, sadly there was no analog front end in this system in which to audition it. I'll look forward to hearing that at another time. The loudspeakers were the absolutely enchanting $175,000 a pair GamuT Zodiacs, the scintillating creation of Benno von Meldgaard, then GamuT owner and designer, and the man who is developing and about to launch a new speaker product called Baun. Watch for that episode soon as well. He and Michael have both been to my home when they came to install a pair of Zodiacs for me to review and to live with for more than a year back in 2016 and 17. That review was published in the Absolute Sound, issue 287, in October of 2018. All gear sat on the $10,295 HRS EXR double-wide 3V rack and the $14,165 M3X2 amp stands. Cabling was mostly from JMF and included their $16,000 a pair 2.5 meter set of SR8 speaker cables, their $5,000 a pair 1.5 meter set of CM4 XLR interconnects, and several of their $5,000 1.5 meter PC3 power cords. One exception here was the $3,500 1.5 meter Shunyata Omega USB cable. Finally, a $19,000 JMF Audio PCD 102 power line filter addressed power cleanup. And Michael had invited me to present a short music session for showgoers and listeners in this room Saturday afternoon starting at 5 p.m. And we ran a little past show's closing time. But the sound regenerated by this system was simply exquisite, placing it among the most engaging and finest sounding rooms shown at Pacific Audio Fest 2023. It offered insanely good resolution with an amazing sense of soundstage depth and a delicacy to vocal inflection that was infectious, and its dynamic expressiveness and scaling were absolutely world class. Let's let Michael Vamos walk us through this special system and share some detail about these products. Then, have a listen. Here we go. Hello, everybody. We're shooting this at Pacific Audio Fest in Seattle a week or two or a couple days ago. I mean, today we're shooting it. But I'm here with my good friend, Michael Vamos. I've known him for a couple of weeks now. He's a distributor in the LA area. Your company is Audio Skies?
Yes.
He represents a number of good companies. You want to run through your line card for us?
Yeah, we do JMF Audio, which is out of France. They've been around since the 80s. We do Ideon Audio, digital gear out of Greece. We do Pair Audio Blue turntables and tone arms as well. We do Levin Design, the record brushes.
Yeah. You were kind enough to give me one of those a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. And they're beautiful too. I mean, those brushes, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can choose. I mean, it's a great little product. I mean, we were lucky to have it, but and then we, of course, we have GamuT as well, and then what we just added is Baun, which is Benno Baun Melmgaard's new company, and he used to be the chief designer for GamuT and Rido.
Yep.
Now has his own company. Speaker is going to come out this fall.
Yes.
So we're also representing them as
and
well.
Be aware there's an episode with Benno talking about this new product, the Hydra. I'm kind of excited about it because this gentleman in Benno brought a pair of Zodiacs to my house, and I had them for about 1.5 years, and it was fabulous. Go read the review, please. Then you were kind enough to grace me with this whole Ideon stack, which is pretty amazing. We'll talk about that in a bit. I think the three-piece stack. So there's the streamer, which I have done the full review on. I'm going to be doing the 3 pieces here very soon.
Yeah.
And if you saw my video where I did the recent version of the system, it is my reference right now. So thank you, everybody, George, you, everybody. I really appreciate it. It's going to be fun. But do you want to run through some of the highlights of the JMF, the Ideon, the GamuT stuff, the stuff that's represented here today, so that we're going to make a couple recordings of the room?
Yeah. I just want to add one more brand, which is Larson speakers.
That's right. I forgot.
Designed to go against the wall and work with the room.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think we've been very, very lucky with the brands that we have. All our brands are European.
Yeah.
And the way that I pick the brands, it has to be something that I personally would want to buy. And I also try to pick that I don't want that there's another brand that does something just as good at the same price point.
Sure.
Or even near the price point, because otherwise,
what's the point? Yeah. Why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah.
So, and I feel that we've been very lucky, and the brands that we have are not the biggest name brand in the world. You know, they're not the most famous brand.
JMF's pretty popular in Europe.
Yeah, but they all are very unique, and they are all passionate music lovers that really do their best to get the sound. So, if we, for example, start with Ideon Audio, which you mentioned, so they're out of Greece. They only do digital, and the reason why they started the company is because they actually weren't happy with their own DACs that they had. You know, they were like, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's like me. You know this.
Oh, yeah.
For many, many years when we were doing shows, we only did analog. We did reel-to-reel and turntables.
We're both pretty strong on analog until recently.
Yeah, and it's like because the things that we're missing, and this is what I think Ideon has brought now for the first time to this digital medium, is there was lacking this lack of real dynamics.
Yeah.
and this very analog musical sound. Because you can have all the resolution, you can have all the definition and all that. That's all very nice. But if it doesn't have dynamic and sounds analog, well, I don't really care.
If there's no soul to the music. The thing about the dynamics is without, I mean, I mentioned that alone just on the streamer, because it's, and I think they actually, they got some kind of recognition for their dynamic capability, I think. Somebody pointed out that it was one of the most dynamic DACs that had ever been built.
It is the most.
Okay.
It has, I think, the dynamic range is
140 dB.
147 dB or something.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a crazy number.
Yeah. But it's the, you know, you guys know I'm not the biggest digital fan in the world, but this stuff has won me over, and because it's so bloody engaging. It's musical. It's not, you know, the dimensionality is there. You're not hearing cardboard cutouts standing in front of you. You're hearing bloom and body and physicality and corporality. You get the feel you can walk up and tap these people on the shoulder while they're playing in front of you. It's really good stuff.
We actually had the chief designer and the owner from Greece over, and he actually listened on this system, but at our demo room.
Yeah.
And Vasilis, the designer, he was doing like this, you know, to ward off dead spirits. He felt like the people that were listening, like Nina Simone, that are all dead, that they were in the freaking room. It was that, you know, tactile.
Well, one of the reasons I want to play some music here is what we did yesterday. You were kind enough to invite me up to play some files for a short while for a group of people, and we had tears, we had elation, we had almost dancing, people moving around in their chairs. This is a really engaging system, and I think we want to, at some point, we want to do maybe a video chat and talk about JMF, because I don't think that many people know about it yet in the States. Do they?
No.
So we'll set something up to do that?
Yeah. Because actually what happened is as I said, they've been delivering amps for the big recording studios since the 80s.
Yeah.
And so a lot of recordings that people actually know are recorded on JMF
with these amps. Yeah.
And also a very famous audiophile label, which is 2L, which, for example, David Robinson also knows, and you know very well.
David's in the back waving at us.
And all of those recordings are done through the JMF Powerline filter, all of them.
Yeah.
And they have like 89 Grammy nominations or something like that.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Jeez.
But also, they're actually been big in Asia for a long time, so they might not be known here. But the reason why they don't have, they weren't here in the U.S.
Well, they were pretty select about coming to the States, weren't they?
They didn't want any distributor, and once they finally kind of thought they would pick me, they called God and everybody
to get some
check me
references on you. Yeah.
For example, Benno as well. They're like, what kind of music does he like? Is he really a music lover? You know, is he passionate about it? Blah blah blah. So the reason why they haven't been here is, well, they're pretty busy already. So, but they were happy with me, and it's
now, a reality now.
Now it's a lot of more people know about it, and
well, we'll get the word out, brother. We'll get it out.
What is unique about JMF, for example, is as far as I know, it is the only audio company that only makes reference gear.
Okay.
So they're not trying to hit
they don't
price
have
points.
3 or 5 flights of gear. They just have
series. They have one preamp. We make the best preamp. That's it. We're done. You know, same thing with everything. So they only have one of everything. And there's a huge advantage to that in R&D.
Of course.
They're not spending or wasting time on finding cheaper components. You know, trying to. Well, how can I make a compromise? They're not compromising on anything.
Right.
They have a huge facility. I was over there, and I'll show you afterwards. We have one with the lid off. I mean,
I'll put the pictures on the video.
They're freaking gorgeous inside too. Yeah. Normally, when people say gold-plated boards, it's just a flash of gold.
Yeah.
They actually have extremely thick gold-plated boards. That means you can't use an automated process.
Right.
So every
they're all put together by hand, aren't they?
I hand soldered, both sides and through. I saw one of the boards the guy was doing, just sitting with a magnifying glass, tiny little things. It would take me 4 years to do one board. I mean, it's the slowest, most expensive way that they're doing it.
Yeah.
But they want to do it that way, and they don't want to compromise on anything.
Sure.
And I mean, they have a very close relationship because they work closely with. They deliver certain electrical high frequency things. Small part of their company. For aerospace and high-speed trains and so forth.
Okay.
So those companies can make special components just for them, and they're all located in Europe.
Yeah.
So basically, they're not using the best components you can get on the market. No, they want better than that. So they have them made to their specs
Right.
by these companies just for them. For example, they just upgraded the power supply and the transformer on the preamp
Right.
because they wanted to implement the one that they're using in the power amp.
Okay.
And they went, I think, through 16 or 18 different transformers. They're like, nah, not quite right. Nah. And if it takes another half year, it takes another half year. They're not like,
Understood. Yeah.
they just keep doing it, and because they only have this reference level, and that's all they're doing, it makes it really, really special to listen to. And I think like one of the reasons that a lot of people buy tube amps or preamps, for example,
Right.
with their solid state amp, it's very hard to make a great solid state amp that also has this natural analog musicality. You know, they sometimes sound a little harsh,
Yeah,
a
they
little
can.
dry, or a little, whatever it is.
Sure.
So when you can have all the control and the power and the low distortion of a solid state amp, but you can have the natural musicality of the best tube amp, it's kind of the best of
It's a
both
win-win,
worlds.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that they've actually managed that.
Yeah.
So they're not adding anything to the signal, they're not losing anything, they're just letting it through for the artist, so because they're not trying to EQ it.
Sure.
It doesn't really have a sound, it doesn't
Right.
color it or anything like that.
Right.
And I think that's pretty unique. And even though they are doing it the most expensive way, and they're not cheap, they're far from the most expensive
Yeah.
brand.
There's a good point.
Yeah.
They're less than some of these other brands
Right.
that, yeah.
I mean, it's sealed cabinets, so no dust can get in. They can be upgraded if they make an inversion. So, I mean, it's pretty special
It
stuff.
is pretty special. What do you say we let people listen to it?
Yeah, of course.
All right. One thing I want to bring up, I don't think you mentioned all the cables. Basically, most of the cables are JMF as
Yeah,
well.
all
Yes.
the cables are JMF except for here we're using the top USB cable from Shinyata.
Okay.
And the last thing is also we're playing here on the GamuT Zodiacs.
Yes.
Which is, as you
I
mentioned,
do know.
it's I think it was the best speaker that Benno has designed. And I
Thus
think,
far, we'll see how.
Yeah, that's
we'll
what
see
I
how
mean.
the Hydra comes out.
So the fact that he's now going to do it all his way,
Yeah.
with all the things he's learned,
Yeah.
that means the
I
new
can't
one
wait.
is going to be like.
I can't wait. Yeah. All right, Michael. Let's give them a listen. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody. We're going to
Thank
play
you.
some music for you.
Yeah.
If blood will flow and flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away, but something in our minds will always stay.
Perhaps this final act was meant to clinch a lifetime's argument.
Again, my thanks to both Michaels, Vamos and Farnsworth, for their time and hospitality, and for sharing some tasty hooch. Again, this room was among the most exceptional and musical sounding rooms presented for listeners at this year's show. And I hope you enjoyed this video visit as much as we enjoyed making the episode. As always, thanks for taking the time to drop by today. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.